The problems don't read manifestos. If I present my 10-point manifesto today, 2 weeks after my inauguration, a very interesting problem comes out of the blue. I am committed and I'm making that promise that I will be present and fully committed to my responsibility as Student Union President.
So how do you plan to manage being an MBBS student with being a Student Union President?
Of course, it's a call to more responsibility, but it is not impossible.
You've not taken any role in the Student Union body in previous time. Does this matter?
Yes, it's true. I have not served in any frontline student union or anything. And it's normal. If you study the history, at least the past 5, 6, 7 presidents that the student union has produced, nobody also has served in any major political office.
What are your thoughts on protests? So a few weeks ago, we had a segment where I brought in leading candidates of the law faculty presidential elections, and they spoke to the students about their plans. People had been reaching out to me that why can't I do the same with the student union? Today, we are starting that, and I have with me Covenant Odedile, who is a frontline candidate of the UI Student Union presidency. And you must have heard his slogan, auspicious times. As long as you are a UI student, everywhere you go, you are surrounded by auspicious times, auspicious times. And he's right here in the studio. Welcome, Covenant.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for having me.
Yeah, so I would like to have you introduce yourself, because there are maybe a few things I know about you, and some other people know about you, but I would like to have you introduce yourself. Let them hear from the horse's mouth.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, I want to appreciate you for this invitation. It's a very good initiative, and I'm very happy to be here today to share my thoughts. So my name is Covenant Odedile. I'm popularly known as Visionary, and in recent times, a lot of people have also started calling me Auspicious Times. I'm a 400 level student studying medicine and surgery, University of Ibadan. I grew up in Ibadan. I live in Ibadan. I've schooled in Ibadan all my life, Ibadan, and alongside my academic engagements, I'm a social entrepreneur and innovator. I'm also very, very, very much invested in civic engagements. These are the crux or the bulk of my extracurricular engagements. And also I've served in, various capacities, focused on student development within University of Ibadan and even outside and beyond University of Ibadan. Just to name a few, I served as the public relations officer of the Union of Campus Journalists. I served as the national director for the Nigerian Medical Students Association, Emerging Leaders Forum. And, I can go on. And also I'm, privileged to be a recipient of, numerous awards and fellowships, the 2023 Princess Diana Award, the 2023 Carrington Youth Fellowship, the 2024 Nigerian Higher Education Foundation Scholarship, and a whole lot more. And I'm very, very, happy to be here. It's a privilege contributing to the development of students in my host school, University of Ibadan, and also in Nigeria at large. Once again, thank you for having me, Manuel.
So everywhere I go, in UI right now, it's always auspicious times, auspicious this, auspicious times. What does auspicious times mean?
Okay, I think I would like to start by saying that auspicious times didn't start as a political agenda,
Okay.
So sometime in June 2024, that was just few days or few weeks before my birthday in June. And then I posted, on my status, on my WhatsApp story, and just used the caption, "We're in the era of the auspicious times," these musings you have before your birthday and stuff. And then, people picked the line. People just singled out auspicious times and they started repeating it. A lot of people go on their status, post auspicious times. These are auspicious times. And it became very, very, it went viral. I would even see people, post on their status everywhere, auspicious times, auspicious times. So, everybody was saying auspicious times. It gained so much popularity among people. So when I, decided I was going to run, when I flagged off my campaign officially rather, and I was deciding, okay, what tagline do I want to use? And I felt there was no better, word that did justice than except auspicious times. And I chose it because it means, the word literally means favorable times, fortunate times, promising times, good times, just spreading hope, spreading positivity. That was the idea. And then, I decided I was going to use it because I didn't want something just political. And everybody uses this agenda, this. I just wanted something that was novel and something that would, spread hope, spread positivity. So that was how Auspicious Time started. And then I realized it had gone, to have a name of itself. And I had no other option. It was only wisdom for me to just follow suit and adopt it as my campaign tagline.
So auspicious time, that means favorable time.
Yes,
All of us are making first class.
exactly. Good times,
Yeah, I get.
promising times.
You are contesting as a student union president,
Yes.
and we have a current administration, of course,
Okay.
and you know that you have competitors. You have people that are
Yes.
actually also running. They are throwing
Yes.
in the hat.
Yes.
So, what do you think you have to offer differently than these people?
Okay. So I think I'll start by presenting my person,
Okay.
which is myself. I believe that over the past few years of my studentship in the University of Ibadan, I have really invested a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources into student development.
Yeah.
I have, in different capacities through different engagements, I have done things that have directly benefited students, even without holding any political position. I am of the opinion that we don't need to, necessarily have to. I mean, leadership it's leadership for me, which is solving problems. So for me, I really believe that personal leadership, which I've demonstrated over the years, is a very big advantage or selling point, which I keep preaching to people that I didn't need to want to contest for a position before I took up initiatives, before I, joined, organizations, joined, forces with people to just execute different projects for development of students on campus. That is one. I also really think I love this school so much.
Okay.
I really love this school. I have so much passion for the University of Ibadan. I was saying on Twitter one day that, when I discovered there was a tag, there was a brooch, I wear it everywhere because I feel a sense of identity and a very strong sense of, love for this school. And, I also think that anyone who will lead the union, anyone who will lead the University of Ibadan students, the community of intellectuals, should, show some level of competence, some level of experience and, character,
Why are you choosing to run this time, though?
Okay.
You were mentioning that you don't run for political offices, like you just prefer.
Okay.
It does, since you are not necessarily constricted.
Okay, exactly. So
why are
this
you
is what
running
I'm
this
trying to say. So it's not the case of not running or choosing to run at this time.
Okay.
It's just a case of saying that most of these things, I didn't need a political office to do them in the past. But now that I choose, to do what? To throw, to throw myself in the game, I'm choosing to do it with all sense of, commitment. So I believe so much that I have, the experiences I've had in the past few years have prepped me, I've equipped me with the needed knowledge, the insight into the pain points of students, into the challenges and into the, should I say, things I can do better if elected as president of the University of Ibadan Students Union.
Okay. Yeah, I feel you. I reached out to a lot of people.
Okay.
While preparing for this podcast,
Okay.
like my classmates, so many people from different levels as well, like people from my faculty as well.
Awesome.
I was reaching out to them. I was telling them that if they meet you, what would they like to ask you?
Okay.
And I noticed that there's a major recurring question.
Okay.
Which is the question of, you're an MBBS student.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if it's a myth, but I don't think it's a myth. Because I know that as law students, it's very hectic.
Yes.
So now, as an MBBS student, I know that it's even probably worse,
Okay.
way worse.
Okay.
And it's always demanding. So how
Okay.
do you plan to manage being an MBBS student with being a student union president? And also, don't forget that that MBBS students tend to live outside the campus at the point because of their studies.
Yes.
So it's a question that keeps
Recurring, yes.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for that question, and I think it's a good time to also clarify.
Yeah.
So I would like to say that this is not the first time a medical student would be running for the student union presidency. We had, Edosa in 2012 run, and we won. So, and I understand the concerns also, the fact that I'm in 400 level, my classes are focused in UCH.
Yeah.
But that does not mean I have to stay in UCH. It just means, like, should I say I take classes in UCH, I'm residential in UI, exactly.
Okay.
So it doesn't disturb me exactly. Now, I also understand the questions around medicine and surgery being a very, should I say, demanding course and all of that. Yes, fair enough. But my calendar presently is very flexible time for me. It's a good time for me to, take on extracurriculars. And if you check through, this is not, apart from politics, you see medical students get themselves involved in a lot of things. We have medical students who are entrepreneurs, who are photographers, who own businesses, who, are music performers, who do a whole lot of, should I say, unimaginable things you expect and challenge the, norm that you expect of medical students. So I would say that, of course, it's a call to more responsibility, but it is not impossible. I understand the, should I say, what is ahead of me and, the demands that would come. But of course, it is very possible to still do both and still do well as much as possible in academics. And yes, to answer the question officially, I will be residential in UI. I'll stay in UI. I would be like a day student to go to, UCH and, retreat and, that's it.
All right. I hope that clarifies it for people that asked me that. And another question people asked me, I remember this one. And that's the question of you've not taken any role in the students' union body in previous times.
Okay.
So they want to know that, does this matter that
Okay.
you haven't done that before or
Okay.
not?
Okay, so well, when we talk about experience,
Yeah.
I think it's a very I don't want to say subjective, but we can view it through many lenses. That's the idea. So, and generally when I engage people, I also ask, what do you think it's important for a student union president should have? Like, I mean, what do you think a student, what characteristics, what are the things you think anybody wants to run for the office of the student union president? What are the things you think the president should tick? What boxes?
Okay.
And for me, talking about experience, yes, it's true. I have not served in any frontline political, should I say, maybe in the student union or anything. And it's normal. If you study the history in at least the past 5, 6, 7 presidents that the student union has produced, nobody also has served in any major political office before resuming, or imagine as the president. But one thing, is very, very important. The experiences that the person has gathered through their different engagements as a student. Exactly. So I have served in various capacities, even serving as the public relations officer of the Union of Campus Journalists, is enough insight into the workings in the union. You understand?
Yeah.
It gives so much, insight. You get to see, you know what's happening. And then a lot more, working closely with, presidents, different administration, even presidents, student union presidents of other institutions. I have a good number of, friends, I can talk of Unilorin, Unijos, Funab, or a lot of presidents you get. So I have a practical, insight into what goes on, in the student union. And, I believe also my experience in the social impact, space, over 4 years of experience in social impact is a lot of, should I say, experience, quote and unquote, which would be relevant when I emerge. Because after all is said and done, leadership is about solving problems. It's about how much you can offer, how much you can, swiftly respond to the changing needs, to the challenges that students face on a day-to-day basis, and how much you can get things done with the, resources you have in a very short time. So that's leadership.
I expect that you will know this better than me, better than I do, because of you've spent more years in UI. The thing is, I realized that the student unionship of UI is a very, very delicate one. Like, whenever students don't get what they want from the management, they say that it is the union leaders are puppets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so what's your plan to attack this kind of situation? What do you bring to the table that is quite different from what has been brought, or how do you plan to mitigate this? I want to understand that. That's my own personal question.
I get it. It's very valid. And I must say that every clime, every society has their, contemporary challenges. There are challenges peculiar to the University of Ibadan, community. There are challenges peculiar to the University of Lagos, University of, Ilorin. Each school has the specific, goings on and how these things, play out. So bringing it home to the University of Ibadan, I know everybody has this perspective that, the school management is very, or should I say, like, they are at loggerheads. The school management and the students, they are anti each other. Yeah. I understand that in some cases it may seem so, but it's not totally true. That's the truth. There are cases when it really looks like these people are not, it looks like the school management they can't understand, the practical realities of the students. Yes. Why is this happening? If you really, understand what is going on, why would you do this? Why would you make this happen? Why would you implement this policy? Yeah. That's true, I understand. But in most cases also, it is not exactly as though the school management, because really they have people, their students affairs, the students have a division where it's dedicated to student needs. So I'm trying to say that the school management, as much as possible, is very, very invested in actually making sure that the school is comfortable for the students. Now, in cases when we have to agitate, when we have to make our, should I say, demands known, and it seems as though we are not getting an headway, we have to keep pushing. I believe so much that as a students' union, we must have a stance on things. We must have things that we actually believe. We must have values, we must have principles. When it comes to negotiating with the school management, there must be things that we would never back down on. We must have certain things. This is our stance on this, and this is where we stand, and we are not backing down. We may make some compromises, fine, but how far can we go? You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. We are not going to back down on certain things. And I also think one thing I really want to bring on board is the fact that we need a closer interaction with the school management and the students. It's been a while. I really would push for that, where we have certain, of course, a lot of students may not show up. I hope a lot of students show up, but as much as possible, a good number of the student populace get to interface directly with school leaders, and then get to just like a press conference or like a platform to interact. So all of these things would, should I say, help us see things from multiple lenses, and then we would approach our issues with so much pragmatic approaches. But really, I am just of the opinion that while it is true that it may look as though sometimes the school and the students, are always at loggerheads. It's not always so. And also, when it comes to us negotiating, we must have our stances. We must have things that we firmly believe this is how far we can go. Anything from here, we are not going. You understand what I'm trying to say? We must make our stances, our principles very, very firm.
What are your thoughts on protests?
Okay, when it comes to protests are simply demonstrations. It simply means you're doing something I don't like. I want to make you know that what you are doing,
I don't like
I'm not very cool with it. And it's very fine. There's this thing we say, in the, students politics space, we say the first thing is what? Consultation. And then after that, consolidation. And then after that, you do what? The third C, which is confrontation. Yes, but it doesn't work exactly on paper. There are times when actually you have to, confront first before you even do the, consultation and consolidation. And there are times when the confrontation comes after you've explored other, strategies. Options. So for me, protests, it's not a sin. It's not, should I say, something so big that we cannot do when it comes to making our, demands and making our voices heard. And that's the next best option for us to do. Why not? For instance, case in point, some days ago, about a week ago, we had the, protests for the Save UCH, Save ABH protest, for the prolonged blackouts, in the University College Hospital. And, students of the University College Hospital, and, we got to hear students to join us in solidarity. We had a protest, from UCH Gates and, to the state secretariat, to the federal secretariat, to making our voices heard. So I do not think protests are a no-no, where there are times when, we have to deploy the strategy to make our voices heard. That's just the truth. We need to and that's what I was talking about. When it comes to our negotiations, we have to have stances. Where do we stand? What are we doing? What are the things we will not back down on? What are the things we will not make compromises on? So for protests, yes, there are demonstrations. Sometimes we need to make our voices heard.
Moving forward, how do you plan to move the UI Student Union forward? Like we have the current Aweda-led administration and everything. Yes. They are being graded right now. Okay. The administration is currently being graded by every student of UI. So what are we going to grade you on?
Okay, thank you very much. So I must say that for us to have a good understanding of where we are headed, we must have a good understanding of our past, of our present, and then how it helps us in the future. So I believe we have a great union. I mean, we've had previous, administrations, and also the peculiarity of the students union. The students union, University of Ibadan, we have had multiple interregnums where, the student union was, stopped. The last one was 2017 before it was reinstated again. And then we've had multiple challenges, which, so it's been a very rough road for the students union, and we're growing, but all irrespective, we're making progress. So for me, I'm really focused on trying to, complement or build on what the existing leaders have done to make sure we have a much more greater union. I believe so much that, of course, candidates come every year. We present our manifesto, which I will also do, when the time comes, and talk about the things we'll do. But for me, I realize that the essence of having leaders who represent our interests as students is the fact that day to day they can respond to the changing needs of students. They can, because they are there, life should be easy for students. Because they are there, they should be able to respond swiftly to the challenges that students face day to day. We say this thing, problems don't read manifestos. Exactly, problems don't read manifestos. If I present my 10-point manifesto today, and then 2 weeks after my inauguration, a very interesting problem comes out of the blue. You understand? Nothing exactly prepares you for leadership, but the goal is that at every point in time, I am committed, and I'm making that promise that I will be present and fully committed to my responsibility as Student Union President. Now, the goal of the Student Union, is the responsibilities to make sure that the welfare of students are well taken care of, and all of these things. If we go down into, the rudiments, welfare, academics, career development and other things, there are a whole lot more that I can begin to delve into. But because of time, my goal is to, make sure that as much as possible, I respond swiftly, alongside my, executives and my team, if elected, to do what? To respond to the changing needs, to the challenges of students on a day-to-day basis, and to make sure that life is comfortable for students on campus because there are leaders in place. That's the goal. That's my grand goal. That's my grand goal.
Okay. When you get into office, in the first 50 days,
All right.
what's something we can expect from you that we can just say, in the last 50 days, you have done this. We can be sure. We as
Okay,
UITs.
so very good. So first 50 days, of course, first thing, day one, we hit the ground running. Of course, very, very important. Exactly, you hit the ground running. And then in the first 50 days, we would definitely, we'll keep running. we pay courtesy visits to all, concerned staffs. We need to, familiarize ourselves, the new leadership with every, relevant stakeholder on campus.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. Secondly, we would, there's something on my plan, which of course would kickstart also is the, we ensure that the union bus is available for, students in rush hours. That's one of the things I hope to do. So hopefully classes would have resumed. We will ensure that there's a plan for that, which will be implemented to ensure that, okay, students, have access to the union bus,
And it's free? Transport.
It won't be free. There would be a token just for maintenance and all of that. Just for rush hours, maybe early in the morning.
Availability
exactly, for transport issues. That's one thing you would expect. Another thing also is the fact that we'll kickstart our, should I say, orientation and onboarding plan for freshers, because we'll have new University of Ibadan students resuming in school, and then we want to ensure that they are well informed, well supported, they get all the maximum support to ease their onboarding on campus. These and many more, are the things that you expect in the first 50 days of administration. And of course, we'll definitely pay attention to the welfare of students at every point in time.
There's a problem I have with like school, should I say school politics or student union kind of politics?
Okay.
Given that, in general politics, like
all right,
should I permit me to use the real world
mainstream politics?
Okay, mainstream politics.
Yes.
They are political parties, like in Nigeria, for instance.
Yes.
So every administration knows that the mind is single. This is our plan as a political plan. This is what we are going to do.
Yes.
But in this situation, there are people voting for the vice president. There are people running for vice presidency, running for different positions.
Yes.
So how are you guys going to like come together and work together?
Okay, so
with all these people.
Yeah, I understand you, and I think, in my opinion, that it's good the way we operate it in the University of Ibadan, not working with the party system. Every individual that wants to run, comes. Although eventually, unofficially, there's a party system, which is your hall of residence.
Okay.
Because that's like your card-carrying party. Exactly, carry you and flaunt you and support you. That's the truth. But I still think that, and that's why individual candidacy is the best. When you want to vote along the lines of the candidates. Who is this person? Because eventually, when the person emerges, whether serves well or not, the story is this is the person. You will not say you're holding Zico responsible or Belu responsible for the shortcomings of a candidate. The candidate is still the person who does the job. So its executives are going to be emerging, as the next set of University of Ibadan students, executives, and they are coming from different places. The most important thing is that they forego their biases. And that's the goal is leadership, not politics. We are not breeding a generation of politicians. We are breeding leaders whose goal for running is to respond to the changing needs of students, to the problems that students face, and solve these problems with utmost commitment. So that's the goal.
Do you mean we should have it at the back of our mind that we are not voting for it like a team, we are voting for you?
Yes, that's the truth. That's just the honest truth. Because after all is said and done, it's still my ideology. Yes, you're voting for a candidate. Because even in the voting, where you will see my name, not Ideol or ABH, or you not see a candidate from Belu or Awol. You see the name. So, and I think that this is a clarion call to every University of Ibadan students, because truthfully, I know that they say we cannot isolate politics. I can understand the sentiments are there, truthfully. But after all is said and done, it should still be the quality, the material of the candidates that is running. Exactly.
Okay, good. There's a personal question I love to ask anybody I'm interviewing. Like, if you watched my episode with the law students, you will realize that I asked this question, and that's the question of, it's for myself, not necessarily towards the election.
It's fine. It's good.
It's the question of, have you faced leadership challenges in the past? What are those leadership challenges that you faced? Like just a few. I know that many. And then how were you able to surmount them?
Okay, so this is a very lovely question. Yes, so I've taken on many leadership positions, and I really believe that one of the first things I'll say is a major lesson for me is that nothing prepares you for leadership. Of course, you do all you can to prepare yourself. You understand you've had the experience, but truthfully, it's all about what you can do at that point in time that matters. Your experience helps you to apply, you have like a foreknowledge of things to do. But truthfully, like I said, problems don't read manifestos. So it's all about how you can gather resources, gather, consult, ask, put the best brains together, put all the resources available at your disposal to solve every problem that presents itself at every point in time. That's one thing I've learned, because truthfully, I mean, there is a word VUC that characterizes the present age: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So it means that we can't predict anything. Anything can happen. But how can we even solve the problems we don't anticipate?
We did not prepare
Exactly. So while it is true we do all we can, we come with the 10 points manifesto. I mean, all is said and done is about how you can actually solve the problems that come to you on a daily basis. That's one profound, leadership lesson that I've, learned recently. Another lesson I would say that has stood out for me is the fact that you need to, should I say, do everything with the user in mind.
Yeah.
When you are leading people, in as much as you have your plans, your visions, everything you want to do, sometimes you need to consider the people that are being, that you're doing it for. Because truthfully, after all is said and done, it's about how he helps them. So, a case in point, there was a project that was being executed. Yeah, I was privileged to, work, with this, set of people. It was a public health project, and then they wanted to work in a village. So, he wanted to set up should I say, like a water closet.
Okay.
Like there was a problem with open defecation and stuff, and then you wanted to reduce that problem of open defecation in that village. So you came up with water closets, like our standard water closets we use, and then fixed it in these villages. And truthfully, you realize that they don't use it.
The problem persisted.
Yes, exactly. The problem persisted. So the presence of a solution does not remove the problem. Exactly. That's one thing you must realize. How does this problem fit the users? How does it solve their problems? So for me, I realized that then we consulted, and then we realized that they are fine with latrines.
Okay, Pete.
Exactly. And the point is the fact that every solution has to suit the people that it's been designed for. So everything I want to do for Uites, I must make sure that we carry them along.
Yeah.
We'll have congresses, we'll have conversations. In fact, we'll have all-to-all mobilizations. Just, hello, everybody, this is what we're planning. What do you think? We need to make sure that everybody feels like a part of the union. And that's one also core part of my plan, to make sure that, we have events, we have engagement services that bring people to the student union building. We want that place to be an echoing concourse where students flock, stay around, and they feel a sense of belonging to the student union. So there are multiple, stories to recount, but I think those two will do because of time.
That's right. Yeah. Just speak to, like, as if you are speaking to a UI student.
Yes.
Like, this is what you should consider as we are heading into the voting, into the polls and elections.
All right. Thank you very much. So, greatest Uites, we are barely 23 days away from the D-Day, the election day. And my final words would be borrowing from a quote from G.K. Chesterton, where he was talking about the fact that anyone that wants to vote should vote with the entirety of his heart. Should vote as if he wants to marry a wife. Should vote as if he wants to select his choicest of foods. You should vote with a sense of commitment. And I really implore every Uites to vote the same way. Many candidates will be coming out presenting their plans and their manifestos and everything. But I would say that in your decision, consider the competence of these candidates. Consider the confidence they have to lead the union. And most importantly, their character. It is very, very important to weigh the quality of each candidate before deciding who you want to vote for. You could do it. You could just make sure that you're not voting cluelessly. You get background information about your voting. It could be a simple Google search just to check out who exactly am I voting for. And when you do this, I can assure you that by the time you are making your decision, you would agree with me that Covenant or Daily Visionary is the next best fit for the Students' Union President, University of Ibadan. Thank you so much.
So that's it. You have heard from Covenant Odedele, and he has told you why you should vote for him. This is going to be not just beginning, but there will be more candidates who will come here to also discuss their plans. And I hope everyone will listen to everybody and you make the right decision for yourself. I'm also a Uites, and I'm also going to be making my decision. And that's why I'm going to be listening to everybody that is going to talk, and I'm going to hear from them to make my decision.